If you have 6 or more indicators on your chart right now, I'm not judging. I had 8 at one point. I had a VWAP, a 200 EMA, a 50 EMA, RSI, MACD, volume profile, an ATR-based stop calculator, and something called a trend strength oscillator that I'm still not sure I understood. My chart looked like air traffic control for a mid-sized regional airport. This video is for the trader who's doing everything right, by every definition they were given, and it's still not working. You watch the analysis videos before the open, you're in the Discord. You have alerts set, you journal, you prepare, and when your setup appears, you freeze, or you take it and immediately regret it, or you don't take it and watch it work perfectly without you. That's not a discipline problem. That's not an intelligence problem. I want to be really clear about that before we go anywhere else, because I think a lot of traders hear "you're doing it wrong" and translate that to "you're not good enough." That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, the effort is real, the direction is off, and those are very different problems. Let me tell you about Marcus. 6 months ago, Marcus was 3 evaluations deep, 2 blown accounts behind him. Not because he was reckless, he wasn't. He was one of the most prepared traders I'd ever seen. He just happened to be preparing for the wrong thing. Phase 1. The 5 traps. None of these feel like traps. That's the whole problem. Every single one of them feels like progress. That's what makes them so effective at keeping you exactly where you are. Trap 1. The certainty addiction. Marcus couldn't tolerate not knowing what was going to happen next. I understand this completely because I had the same thing. The market is uncertain by definition. That's not a bug, it's the entire structure of the thing. But the brain doesn't like that, so it reaches for tools. If I just add this indicator, I'll know earlier. If I just watch this analyst, I'll have confirmation. Every tool he added was a vote against uncertainty, and the uncertainty didn't care. Trap 2. Instant feedback loops. Futures tick every second. Every red tick feels like a verdict. Every green tick feels like validation. Marcus was running a full emotional cycle: hope, doubt, confirmation, regret, in about 45 seconds per trade. That's not trading. That's something else. His nervous system was treating every tick as information about whether he was a good trader. It's not. It's just price. Trap 3. Complexity as sophistication. There's a version of this that's almost flattering to fall into. Marcus's chart looked serious. It looked like the kind of thing a professional would use, and I think part of him knew, on some level, that if the chart looked serious enough, maybe the results would follow. They don't. Complexity is not sophistication. Sophistication is knowing what to ignore. Trap 4. PNL as the scoreboard. Every day Marcus measured himself by the number. Green day, good trader. Red day, bad trader. Which sounds obvious, but the problem is that a good trader can have a red day if the setups weren't there or the market was choppy. And a bad trader, someone making genuinely poor decisions, can have a green day because they got lucky. PNL tells you what happened. It doesn't tell you whether you did your job. Trap 5. Consumption as preparation. Marcus's morning routine was 2 hours. He watched 2 or 3 analyst breakdowns on YouTube, he checked 3 Discord servers, he read the economic calendar, the overnight futures, the pre-market movers. By the time 9:30 hit, he had 12 different opinions about what the market was going to do. And when your own setup appeared, the one he'd backtested, the one he knew, he second-guessed it, because someone on YouTube had said something that morning that kind of contradicted it. That last one is the one I want to sit with for a second. Because consuming information feels productive, it genuinely does. You're learning, right? You're staying informed. You're being a serious trader. But there's a difference between information that sharpens your edge and information that dilutes it. And most pre-market content, most of it, is the second thing. It's not that it's wrong, it's that it's noise, and you're pouring it directly into your decision-making process right before you have to make decisions. So that's the setup. Marcus isn't failing because he's undisciplined. He's failing because his discipline is pointed directly at the wrong things. He's working harder than almost anyone. He's just aimed at friction. And the worst part? He doesn't know it. Because from the inside it looks like dedication. Phase 2. The turning point. It's not dramatic. I want to warn you about that now, because I think we expect turning points to feel significant in the moment. They usually don't. They usually feel like a slightly weird Tuesday. 15 minutes before the open, Marcus's internet goes down. Not a slow connection. Down. Router blinking red. He restarts it twice. Nothing. He's got his phone as a hotspot, but it's slow, and by the time he gets back to his desk, it's 9:28. No morning research, no Discord, no analyst takes. Just his chart, loading slowly on a hotspot, and one setup he's looked at so many times he could draw it from memory. He takes 2 trades, one winner, one loser. He follows his rules on both. Gets in where he was supposed to get in, stops where he was supposed to stop, takes profit where the plan said to. And it's his best session in months. He sits with that for a while. He did less in that session than he normally does before the market even opens, and it was cleaner, more decisive. He wasn't second-guessing the YouTube take from 2 hours ago. He wasn't waiting for the Discord alert to confirm what he already saw. He just saw the setup. He took the setup. That's it. That was the whole thing. Here's what I think happened. And I'm speculating slightly because I'm not inside Marcus's head, but I've been in a version of this situation myself. Everything he'd added, all the indicators, all the prep, all the opinions he was consuming, none of it was actually about getting better information. It was insulation against the one thing he couldn't tolerate, not knowing what happens next. Every tool is a vote against uncertainty, and the market is uncertainty. It's not that the tools are bad, some of them are useful. It's that when you're adding them because you can't tolerate not knowing, you're not building an edge, you're building a comfort blanket. And comfort blankets don't execute trades, they just make the hesitation feel more justified. Phase 3, the unlearning. This is the part nobody talks about, because the trading education industry, if you want to call it that, is built around adding. Add this strategy, add this indicator, add this framework, buy this course. The actual work, the work that made the difference for Marcus, was subtractive. He didn't add something new, he removed things. He stripped his chart down to price and one indicator he actually understood. He stopped watching pre-market content, not forever, not as a rule, just stopped doing it every morning as part of a ritual. He limited himself to his setup, his rules. That's it. And trading got boring. He hated it at first. Boredom feels like regression when you're used to stimulation. If your morning routine is 2 hours of research and Discord and analysis videos, and you strip it down to 15 minutes of reviewing your setup and sitting quietly, that feels like you're doing less, like you're not taking it seriously anymore. It's the opposite. The boredom is the signal that you've stopped feeding the noise. His execution got cleaner, not immediately, it took a few weeks, but his journal entries got shorter. Instead of 3 paragraphs of "I saw the setup, but then I thought about what the analyst said and the RSI was diverging and I wasn't sure about the volume profile level," it became, "Setup appeared, took it, followed the plan." That's a journal entry. That's also a trading session. He started measuring days differently, not by the number, not by whether it was green or red, but by whether he followed the plan. A day where he followed the plan and lost money started to feel different from a day where he made money by deviating from the plan. One of those is a good trading day, the other one is just a lucky mistake. The shift wasn't from ignorance to knowledge. I want to be precise about this. Marcus didn't learn something new that unlocked trading for him. He stopped doing things that were working against him. That's a different kind of progress. It doesn't feel like progress. It feels like giving up, until the results start to show up. And then it feels like the most obvious thing in the world. And then you wonder why you spent so long adding complexity to a problem that needed subtraction. Here's the uncomfortable version of this. The 95% who find trading impossible, they're not less intelligent, they're not less dedicated, they're often more dedicated. They're just aimed at the wrong target. Working hard in the wrong direction isn't less work. It's just work that doesn't compound. The traders who find it obvious, and there are people for whom it eventually becomes obvious, they didn't learn more than you. They unlearned almost everything. They stopped trying to manufacture certainty and started executing inside uncertainty. They stopped measuring themselves by outcomes they can't control and started measuring themselves by process they can. That's the whole shift. It's not complicated, it's just uncomfortable. The market doesn't reward the hardest worker. It rewards the most consistent executor. Those are not the same person. For a long time, Marcus thought they were. Most of us do. 6 months from now, Marcus is going to look back at this version of himself, the one with 8 indicators and 2 hours of pre-market research, and he's going to feel something between sympathy and mild embarrassment, which honestly is how growth usually feels in retrospect. slightly mortifying. If you're in it right now, if this is where you are, I'm not going to tell you it gets easier. It gets different. The uncertainty doesn't go away, you just stop fighting it. That's about the best I can offer you. Thanks for watching.